This production is sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Captain's Run live on a Thursday afternoon. What's going on? But there you go. Of course, yours truly this evening will be at the Saints Warrington game. And congratulations to Richard, who put his hand up for 2 free tickets and has got them. So many congratulations to Richard. He'll be joining us this evening. Right at the bottom of the screen, before he introduced me, old mucker, Earl Crabtree has provided us with his predictions for round number 9. He's gone Saints 1-8, Robins 1-8, Giants 1-8. It's a female. No, Leigh 9-17, Dragons 1-8, and Wigan 9-17. So that's Earl's official predictions for the Predictions League. Quite a few 1-8s. We take them. We like close games for the neutrals here at Super League Raw. And with that, good afternoon, Mr. Sale.
Good afternoon. Yeah, should be doing my day job, but we're doing Captain's Run.
We're doing Captain's Run and we're putting it out live. And for non-members, this is what you're missing. So we thought we'd give you another taster. We're not doing many more of these for FOC, I have to say. But this is what our members are getting every week. Round Unpacked even more so that we do on a Monday. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, if you haven't done it yet, then now is the time to become a member. Just do that QR code. You'll see it throughout the show. Get involved. Go to our website. Look at the member packages. If you're looking at them on your mobile phone, there's just a little arrow, a little blue one. You press that and you'll see all the incredible benefits you get from being a member here at Super League Raw. Enough of that. Let's get in to what should be a fantastic round number 9, Mr. Sale. And it kicks off this evening as the Warrington Wolves host the Saints. Here we go. As you can see there, advantage Saints in history. In terms of the last 5 Super League meetings, it's 5-0 to the wire. You've never seen anything like it. Unbelievable. It's actually 6 in a row if you consider the Challenge Cup as well. Unbelievable. Both of the two sides lost, of course, last week. Try scored in the favour of the Saints. And then it gets really interesting. Look at the tackle efficiency. Nothing in it at all. Conversions going the way of Saints. Penalty count also higher for Saints. It's an interesting pattern that there, Steph. Lost one, lost. Will we win the Saints tonight?
I think they've got a very good chance. Having obviously seen Warrington firsthand at the weekend just gone. George Williams is a massive miss for Warrington. But Saints have got the challenges as well, you know, in terms of the halfback positions. I think a lot's going to depend on Sam's selection, whether he goes with Steph Ratchford rather than Danny Walker in the halves, because I think, me personally, I think it took a lot away from Danny Walker's game playing him in the halves last week. It's not that he didn't do it well. He did, he did a job for Warrington, but his attacking flair, his kicking from dummy half as well was a big miss, I thought, for Warrington. So I would personally like to see him back at that 9 position. But it's going to be an absolute cracking game, this. I think it's 2 quite evenly matched sides, although Warrington are a bit further down on the table. I don't think there's a big difference in terms of the way the 2 squads are playing. And Saints are going to want to put a few wrongs right from that Wigan game, specifically on the error count. Some of their established names like Walmsley, a couple of errors from him against Wigan, uncharacteristic like. So they're going to want to put those things right as well. And also this hoodoo that Warrington have got on St Helens, that could be in the back of their minds. And my concern for Saints in this one is that they try and overplay, because they know what they're coming up against with this Warrington team. I think if they stick to the basics, I think they may just have enough to win this one. But what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts. Let's take a quick look. I don't normally get asked for my thoughts. That's nice, isn't it? Well, look, I think Warrington have got to respect Saints telling. So look, this is an interesting comment. Carrie in the chat. Good afternoon, Carrie. Hope you're well. We're talking to a Saints fan this morning. He doesn't want Saints to win. He's not happy with Welland as coach. That's just scandalous. Who doesn't want the team to win? You've got to feel for Paul, but they're not playing that bad. They're in a decent league position. They've had the most tackle busts of any team in the league. They've had the most clean breaks. 330 tackle busts, 51 clean breaks this season for Saints. Both these two clubs come into it with a really good disciplinary record. I think it's only Saints who've had one yellow card. Warrington yet to get one. Is that an omen? I don't know. Going into this game, Saints won the middle. When Warrington played Saints, I think it was back, I can't remember what round it was. Round 5, round 2, I can't remember. When Warrington went to the totally wicked stadium in Super League, they won the middle, the middle unit, and they won it comfortably as well, 268 metres to 279, 6 tackle busts to 3. So there's no doubt about it. Saints have got enough quality to go to the Halliwell Jones and win this game. Let's take a look at the squads. A lot easier to look at the Saints squad because, of course, it's in number order. The big question, we were asking it, of course, in weekly, what did they do with Sailor? That's an interesting one. Are they going to go a Whitby Lomax 7-6, put Wellesby at fullback? They have been hinting, haven't they, of maybe putting Sailor out onto the wing. Does Ben miss out? Possibly. Did he put Sailor out there just to get him a bit of confidence? That's going to be an interesting one, without question. Obviously, they've still got the centre positions to fill. Obviously, Percival back, that's big, but they've got to, of course, decide who they're going to put alongside him. Possibly Whitby again, I'm guessing. Is likely. Will we see Noah Stevens? As neutrals, we've been crying out to see big Noah this season. He's like, I don't know, what would you class him as? It's like waking up thinking that you know what Father Christmas is bringing you, and every time you open a box, there's nothing in it. What's going on? We need Big Noah playing in Super League. It's a bit of an odd one, that. But like I say, Saints' position in the league doesn't lie. They're ahead of, we did the header wobble. The lad who said, we're not in the same class as Warrington yet, sitting ahead of him. It's just bonkers. I really feel for Paul Wellens in that respect. So, yeah, it's not a fully strength Saints. I'll get to my thoughts in terms of key players and how I think it might play out in a minute and bring you back in, Steph. In terms of Warrington, we know that some are perhaps walking wounded. You're right, Burgess has got some big calls to make. He's already said that Ewan Irwin will be 18th man. He's not in the squad. I said he's not ready last week, so don't expect to see him. They've got a decision. Is it Ratchford or is it Walker or is it Powell at standoff? That for me is, and I agree with you, I think we lose too much off Danny Walker by not having him at 9. I think Stefan might come back in on this, perhaps, potentially. So it's all very, very interesting. But yeah, what are you making of those squads, mate? Harrison's a real surprise, isn't he, to see Harrison back?
Yeah, and big boost for Wire that as well, because you missed him definitely against Leigh last week. He's probably, for me, your best forward at the moment. But it's definitely a big boost if he plays in this one, and also we'll try and mitigate some of that forward battle where you were saying Saints had the edge last time. Obviously, Harry Robertson's a massive loss for Saints. He's been fantastic, I think, I think Saints have looked good when he's been in the side, and he makes a big difference. That's a big loss for them. We called the other week for to try Sailor at fullback. Now you would argue based on that Wigan game that it didn't work, but you were going against the best team or one of the best teams in the comp. I would personally keep it as it is and give him another chance, but I can also see the benefits of putting Wellesby back at fullback, getting Lomax back in the team alongside Whitby, and then putting Sailor on the wing because you're still getting him in the squad then. So, and at the moment, for Sailor, it's about finding a position for him. And I think Wigan did the same thing with Bevan French, in terms of when he first came over. I'm sure he's been out on the wing and, until he found his actual position, then look at what happened to him. So I would have no problem with Wellens if he wanted to try that. He's going to get criticised no matter what happens. So he may as well try something else different this week. But let's see what happens. It's going to be really interesting, I think, from both sides. There's key decisions for both coaches to earn the money with this week, and whoever makes the right one's probably going to come out on top.
Possibly Alex there saying Saylor to centre. I don't see Saylor as a centre. Do you?
No.
I think he could be quite vulnerable at centre, but it's an interesting one. Good afternoon to Matty Timms, the legend that is Matty Timms. Hope your training's going well, sir. Aidan Simpson is with us. He thinks Earls have lost the plot. You go and tell him, son. I certainly wouldn't, is what I would say on that one. Right, let's get into where I think this game could be won and lost. Before, and I'm going to look at this from both sides. I'm going to start, actually, with the away side. Okay. I'm going to start by paying tribute to this man, Jack Welsby. What a season he's having. He really, really is. 8 appearances in suit. I mean, look at these stats. I mean, it's mad, isn't it? Because, you know, we're hearing that Morgan Gannon's off to the NRL, a second rower. Of course, we know that they're going to be sniffing around the likes of Judy December, etc. Mikey Lewis this week has come out and said it's his dream to go down and play in Australia. And again, there are rumours that, you know, there's a couple of NRL clubs really looking at Mikey Lewis. We know Welsby signed a long-term contract at Saints, but I find it incredible that there's no murmurings of NRL looking at Jack Welsby. 8 appearances, 3 tries, 12 assists, 6 breaks, 49 tackleables, 62 tackles, 92% efficiency, only 3 errors. And when you consider the position he plays and the go forward that he puts in, to only have made 3 errors when he's pretty much dictating play over 8 rounds is just ridiculous. 180 carries, over 1,000 metres, 62.5% win ratio there. Sometimes these things go under the radar, and I just felt it was right and important that we noted how well Welsby's playing. And for me, he is vital this evening. If Saints are going to go to the HJ and stop this bad run of luck against them, run of form against Warrington, he is pivotal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those stats are brilliant statistics for him. Well over 100 meters a game he's averaging, and not forgetting that a few of these games he's played in the halves. Halves don't technically get big meters. That's not it happens. Fullbacks do, obviously, but to be still getting those kind of meters is brilliant. But I think it's just the confidence he brings to the team as well. He's there he can do the bits of magic what other players can't do, and this is why I think, because standoff does take away from his game. And when he's playing fullback, he is that real attacking threat for them. But also, he makes some great covering defensive tackles as well. He can stand off a player and force him to the outside and then catch him. We've seen it numerous times this season already. So he also, it's not just about attack with Welsby. He's a great defender as well. So this is why I think they may put him back at fullback and put Saylor to the wing.
I think he's more dangerous there. I think when you put Jack Welsby in the halves, he's more stationary. He's not, and that's an odd thing to say, but he is a bit more stationary. You know he's going to be first, second receiver. You can plan for him. You're not worried about him coming in on the arch and what he does. And, you know, he's proved it time and time again over the last few seasons, hasn't he? That he's one of the best, if not the best, fullback in the comp, on his day. Of course, he's got a lot of competition for that, and I get that. But he's so important to Saints. He has got to have a belting game. I'm going to go a little bit further now in terms of where I see this game being won or lost. But before we do that, there's the squads. Let's just pick out a few players. Mark Sneed, he could make his 350th career appearance tonight, so best of luck to Sneedy if he's fit and playing. And Stephen Ratchford, who may play this game, maybe at standoff. Only two conversions away from joining Iestyn Harris in 10th place of the all-time Super League point scorers. So that's outstanding stuff for those two if they do that. Right, okay, there's the squad. I want to draw people's attention to St. Helens's left side of attack. That's where I think this game could be won and lost. We know there's great contests. We know that Duffy, Wells, there's plenty of quality on the pitch. But where do I see this game really being won and lost? I think Saints are going to be testing the left, going down the left, as most teams do, and testing the right edge of Warrington. Frankie Holton's try last week, perfect case in point, far too easy. Yeah. Percival is a Rolls Royce of a centre. We know that, he's so, 1, big hits, 2, his running, his meters, his tackle bust, his set-up play, absolutely incredible. He's going to probably have Curtis Sirenan with him, who, again, would arguably say a great second rower in the comp. And, of course, Lewis Murphy back on the wing. Pace, power, quality player. Now, Warrington have got a real problem for me on that side because what do? They have been playing Dan Russell there. Now, we know that Sam Burgess likes Adam Holroyd, especially in big games. He's played some really big games against Saints and against Wigan. This might surprise people. When you compare Holroyd to Russell this season, both have played 5 games, but a better tackle efficiency for Russell. Same errors, less penalties, more meters. So on that basis, you're thinking, well, actually, we'll probably leave Russell in there because why would you bring Holroyd in when Russell on those stats looks to be a safer option, a safer pair of hands? But this is what I do, and this might surprise some people today, but I think there's not much between these two teams, and experience of these games count. And what I would do is I would swap Russell for Ben Curry. I would put Ben Curry back in second row because then it'll be Curry, Ty and Fewless. That looks a lot tighter for me. You look at this here, look at his tackle efficiency, 95.7. Defence wins games. I think you put Ben Curry back in the second row. He's also better in terms of his go forward. Yes, there's the errors there, but let's not forget he has been playing loose forward. So he has been playing quite a few games in and around the middle. That's where those errors come. Normally, he's pretty safe and assured on the edges. So you can see it there for me. Yes, there's a 3-game difference. But for me, if I'm Burgess, I'm going with experience. I'm putting Yates at loose forward where I think he's more suited. I'm putting Curry back in the second row and Fitzgibbon. And I'm probably going to alternate the likes of Philbin. I'm going to leave Harrison as a prop. Philbin, Harrison, Wood, and a other on the bench. That, for me, would give Warrington a far better chance of going 7 from 7. What's your thoughts, Steph?
Yeah, no, I mean, Ben Curry's solid, isn't it? And I think this is where Warrington, you were right, the Holton try against Leigh was very soft on that edge. And I think if you put Curry there with Ty and Thulis, I think defensively that shores up that side. Will they be going against Percival?
They would be on the perch, yeah. So they were. This is what I mean. That edge, so that defensive line that you've just talked about, Curry, Ty, and Fewless, they would be looking at the other side of Sirinen, Percival, and Murphy.
Yeah,
that is quite a potent 3 for Saints coming down that left edge. So for me, you've got to nullify it, and as you can see there, very, very few players. Let me tell you now, you're talking upper quartile in terms of tackle efficiency there from Ben Curry, 95.7%. Is very, very good indeed. And if I'm Burgess, I want to shore that edge up, put Curry back in second row, and take it from there.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And they'll be aware of all these statistics and stuff. And I think Yates is your out-and-out 13 anyway, for me. And also a fantastic defender as well. So you gain a lot from him being at 13. Curry's played really well at 13. Last year, especially, I think he had some great games there. But I would, given the way Warrington performed against Leigh defensively, I would definitely look at that as an option. And I think it's great to highlight it. From a Dan Russell perspective, I've not been very impressed, Dave. And I think when you've got a quota player who's be on decent money as well, you're going to want a bit like Tutavaki at Leigh, taking up a quota spot. You want a lot more from those players. So for me, I would definitely go with Curry in the second row.
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Andy there saying in the argument over Holroyd and Russell, for me, it's got to be Curry. Has to be Curry. I'd be disappointed if when the team sheet comes out, when we're having our first few beverages. And you St. Helens fans who are out there watching this, perhaps come and join us in the Bluebell from 6 p.m. It's free parking on the Golden Square car park. It's a 2 or 3 minute walk down to the Bluebell. Couple of beverages. Let's have a chat. Let's have a bit of banter, and then we walk down in unison to the HJ, the Bluebell, the only place to be when you come to Warrington. Come and have a chat with a Super League Raw posse. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fantastic game. Really looking forward to it. I love it when a game of this magnitude kicks off a new round of Super League. It's always fantastic. Hopefully, very seldom do Saints and Warrington let us down. They're normally compelling affairs. Let's hope that tonight is the same. And for you people who are lucky enough to be seeing this one for the first time, Captain's Run, this is what you're missing, guys. You really do need to become a member. This is analysis. This is what we do. Nobody does it better on a Thursday than the Super League Raw team in terms of building up for the Betfred Super League. Right, let's now go to Headingley. Oh, yes, another big one on Friday as Leeds Rhinos go up against the tantalising Hull KR. This is going to be a little belter as well. Ooh, salivation. Marvellous. Anyway, the last win for Leeds at Headingley against KR was a 12-0 back in April 2022. They've got a decent record of Hull KR. I don't know why I'm actually showing that. Why am I showing that? Let's show this first. Here we go. 24-14 in the favour of Leeds. But look at that. The last 5 games, all gone the way of KR. Go on, the Robins. As you can see, they're both, to be fair, both in reasonable form. Leeds are all right, but we'll get into this in a minute. But Leeds really do. They've done it against Wigan. Who's to say they can't do it against KR? Try scored, very, very close. Tackle efficiency, both in the 90s, nothing wrong with that. Conversions going the way of the of Hull KR. That's a disappointment there. And then the penalties, 37. Here's one for you, Steph. Again, getting into the detail at Super League Raw. Leeds Rhinos, fewest missed tackles in Super League this season. Fewest missed tackles in Super League this season. 93.4% tackle efficiency. We know they're going to be coming under pressure. We know that Hull KR are an exceptional team in attack, but it would appear they may have a defence to deal with it.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Leeds. They're doing a lot better than what I thought they would do at the beginning of the season. And I think a lot of that's to do with Jake Connor moving to the standoff position rather than fullback. Getting Miller back is a massive boost for them to enable that to happen. Obviously, the big glaring one for Leeds is no Brodie Croft still. I think if he's in the squad for this game, I think Leeds have got a better chance, of winning. Obviously, stupid point there, but yeah, he's a big loss, is what I'm making. But if you look at the squad numbers for Leeds, there's not many missing, is there, in the starting, numbers? So they're relatively fit, aren't they, in terms of a squad? From a Hull KR perspective. Who are they missing? Broadbent. Is Broadbent there?
No problem. Yeah, I mean they're missing the wingers, aren't they? So there's no Davies and there's no Joe Burgess. So it's going to be Broadbent and Kershaw. We would expect. I'd be surprised if that wasn't the case.
Yeah. So that's 2 massive losses for KR, though, isn't it? Because Burgess and Davis have both been outstanding this season. Really, really good play. So you'd imagine Broadbent will go out onto to one wing and Kershaw on the other. So that, I mean.
Kershaw normally goes right, doesn't he? So I expect Kershaw right, Broadbent left.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not bad players. And Broadbent's been great, but it is definitely a downward move for KR, obviously forced. They will miss Davis and Burgess, definitely. And it's then on to Leeds if they can exploit that. And this is where Connor comes in. Because I think from a forwards point of view, I would say these two are quite evenly matched. I've been really impressed with Leeds' pack. I think they've been outstanding so far this season. And that tackle, I'm surprised that they're the best tacklers in the league. But I just think that KR are going to have the match in the forwards. It's going to be about the backs in this one who wins it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't speak before we come on here because it always takes me to lastminute.com to get it ready. So it always makes me smile when you lead me to places that I'm already going to, Mr. Sale. It's like we know we could finish each other's sentences. But yeah, you're right. Neither forward line, really. I mean, both of these two, we've seen glimpses. For example, we saw JWH last week, where all of a sudden he's over 100 metres. But seldom, other than perhaps Mikola Jeledzki, did these forwards on both sides consistently get over 100 metres. They're normally circa 70, 90, just sub 100. So you're right. I think the middle units are pretty well matched. The back row, I mean, obviously Cam Smith is still missing for Leeds, but with Minchella, I mean, and the back row forwards, Hadley's, Bachelors, Tanginoa off the bench, Morgan, Gannon, Bentley, O'Donnell, arguably one of the most in form back row forwards in Super League. So we know we're in for a treat there. And then you go into the backs. I mean, Newman on his day. I mean, who can forget that little shimmy for the Miller try, which was well executed. Hiku, it's just class. Gildart having a great season, rolling back. He's back to his pre-NRL form for me. He's really playing well. Hanley, we had doubts on Hanley in the centre positions, but to be fair to him, he's doing really, really well. So we know the backs are key. So I'm going to go where I think this could be won and lost again. And it's going to be because I think the forwards are going to be a muchness of a muchness. I think the smarts and the speed of the play the ball could be massive in this game. Yeah. I really do. And that is why I think the two hookers could be pivotal. Absolutely pivotal in this game. Any moment in the game where one of these forward packs just get that bit of momentum and a quick play the ball. The game smarts and the delivery from O'Connor and Litton could be the difference. You can talk about Connor, you can talk about Mikey Lewis and May, and I think there's no doubt the halfback battle you'd expect KR looking fine fettle there.
Yeah.
What happens at the play the ball, the speed of the play the ball, and what these stats here show is that Litton is, if it was the Robins who got on top, then I think they've got a big problem, Leeds, because you look at those stats, he's dynamite. 42 dummy runs this season, 3 assists, 2 tries, unbelievable. And neither of these two are slouches in defence. We know big middle forwards target halfbacks and hookers. These guys, again, quality there in terms of tackle percentages. They're not going to let the team down defensively. But for me, this is critical. I think O'Connor needs to have a stormer. I think there's a potential that Leeds could get on top. There is that potential, and if they do, he becomes then vital in terms of quick play the balls, knowing when to, and he doesn't run often. But I would like to see O'Connor maybe take a couple of extra runs just to mix it up a little bit. But if Robins get on top, I think Jez Litton could get the man of the match on Friday. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, and it's a great point to highlight in terms of, play the ball speed has such an impact in rugby league. It's massive. In terms of it's more so tiring the defence out, isn't it? If you're getting quick play the balls, there's not that chance. You also get a late retreaters quite a lot, which then creates the gaps for your players like Mikey Lewis. So that's where Jez Litton is so valuable for KR, and it's also completely linked to how well May and Lewis play. From a Leeds point of view, Jared O'Connor, I've been really impressed with him this season. I think he's been great. I think defensively he's the better player. I think he does some fantastic work in defence, but I also think he's the number one hooker for Leeds. I think he's better than Ackers at the moment. I know Ackers is injured, but I don't think he's set the world on fire since going to Leeds, whereas Jared, I think, has been consistently good. He's an 8 out of 10 player every week, pretty much. Whether Leeds fans would agree with me or not on that, I don't know. But from a neutral point of view, whenever I watch, I'm always impressed with O'Connor. I think he does a really solid job for them. But you're absolutely right. Whoever can get on the front foot, that's potentially going to be the difference between the two teams at the play the ball, and it's great to highlight it.
Yeah, and Bazza making a good point. Leyland in the squad for KR. Joel thought he was still at Huddersfield. He's not. He's back with KR. He's named in the 21-man squad. And, of course, we know Mickey Mack. Could be that we see Bill Leyland for the first time. That would be good. Just want to give a shout-out to Andy Bibby. He says, Leeds look dodgy without Croft. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. As far as that comment's concerned, I have to say, Mr. Bibby can't go without getting that one in there. Got to do a bit of... What a tune that was. What a tune. That one. I mean, were they a one-hit wonder dodgy?
Pretty much, yeah.
But let's be fair, it was a tune. Oh, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, after the show, bang it on your Apple iPod. Just bang it on. Let Dodgy have a little bit of a royalty off you this afternoon. What a tune that was in the 90s. But yeah, this is a critical one. Absolutely critical. Alex Sharp saying he thinks the forward battle is key. It is key. But I think what comes off the back of that is even more so. And that's why I felt it was important to highlight these two. Mikołaj Jalecki, 150 Super League appearances potentially on Friday. Ryan Hall, just one try now, having scored at the weekend from Mick Sullivan's 19 placed on the all-time try scorers list in Rugby League. Many congratulations. He's going to get past that at some point. And Arthur Morg will be making his 100th Super League League appearance as well on Friday. Many congratulations to the two that are making their career and Super League milestones, and of course to Ryan Hall should he get himself up to 19th place. Right, we now go to the John Smiths Stadium as Huddersfield Giants take on the Castleford Tigers. Right, I mean, look, Huddersfield Giants fans, I'm about to build you up. I'll probably knock you down as well, but let's build them up for a bit. Let's just give them a bit of a build-up. Here we go. They're 5-0 up in the last 5 in Super League. Come on, lads. Let's have a bit of joy here. Maybe that's why Big Earl has gone the way of the Huddersfield Giants. I mean, both of these two teams come into it in shocking form. We know that. There's very little in the tries. The tackle efficiency is as close as you want. Will it come down to conversions? Possibly, and that's where Huddersfield have the advantage. And Huddersfield have got a better disciplinary record. What are you saying now, Cowbell Armour? Anyway, here's one. Huddersfield have won their last 5 home games against the Tigers. It's true. No doubt about it. The Tigers last won at the John Smiths 24-0 on the 18th of August, 2019. Oh, shut the book now. The Giants are winning this. And Sam Hewitt, not seeing what Steph's done for his bet. Sam Hewitt has scored tries in the last 3 meetings with the Tigers. There's one for you as well. Unbelievable stuff. Castleford Tigers lead. Yellow card charts. They've had 3 this season. Only 1 for Huddersfield. Unbelievable. Castleford have missed the most tackles this season. 328. It's sounding good, this Huddersfield, isn't it? Oh, yeah, short the boat. The Giant. Hey, the Cowbell Army. Listen. Yes, we can hear the rattle. There it is. They're getting happy over there. Yeah, I mean, look, all the stats point to a Huddersfield win. It's not even in doubt, Steph.
No.
Not even in doubt.
No, it's definitely Craig Bell's first win of the season, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, well, the interesting thing here, and I think the thing that jumps out to me out of those stats, and obviously stats are what they are, but penalties, to have nearly a quarter more penalties is going to be a big factor in this one. If Huddersfield can exploit that and get field position, that's going to be massive for them. So Cass definitely needs to sharpen up on that penalty count, because that will get you in trouble. We'll see what the squads come out at, because obviously we know.
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Here they are.
Yeah. So
let me take you through it while you just get your head around it. So, look, I mean, at the end of the day, we know that, Huddersfield are doing it tough. We know that. They've still got, and you can tell by, Swift's arguably one of the best wingers in Super League. His stats prove that, but his try scoring's well down this year because they haven't had a foothold in the game. Great that Ollie Wilson is there, but look at number 9. Zach Wolford is back in the 21-man squad. Whether he plays or not is a question, but hey, and Joe Greenwood's there as well. So you slowly but surely, that's a bit better than it has been. You look down that there, you've got Gagai, Swift, Bibby, Halsall, Wilson. Flanagan's still there, of course. He'll be in and around it. Jack Billington, Tane Milne, Leroy Cudjoe back in the squad. Elliot Wallace back. So will he be back on the wing? So all of a sudden, actually, I think you said it on Weekly. Once you get past the starting 13, it starts to get a little bit. But there's a bit of quality there. It's getting better. How many of them are truly fit and will be in the starting lineup on Saturday? We'll have to wait and see. However, we know. On the other side, look who is in the picture in his senior. In his seniors there, that's a massive, massive bonus for the Castleford Tigers. Tomamone at the bottom there, alongside Dazaria and Salabio. A lot bigger in the pack, no doubt about that, for the Castleford Tigers. Castleford looking better, Fettel. The good thing is the players that they brought in, I can't remember who said this, but it was a really good comment, was the piece that when you bring in a halfback, yeah, it's going to take them time to gel. When you bring in a hooker, it's going to take them time to gel. Not Tomamo. His job's quite simple. Carry that ball, hard, true. Tell your defenders tell your attacking players to be on your shoulder for the offload. Break a tackle. Just go and get it sorted. Go and make it happen. There's nothing too difficult about that. I think Hamon will hit the ground running. Desiree, I think we'll see more of him in this game. All those stats point to Huddersfield. Advantage Castleford on the team sheet.
Yeah, and Amon's going to be a massive boost for Castleford. really tough for me. It's like seeing your ex-girlfriend out with an uglier fella. It's
good man. Love it.
Yeah, but no, we wish Tom. We love Tom for pieces. We wish him all the best at Castleford, and we hope he rips it up. And you're in for a treat, Tigers fans. Even though it's for one season or the remainder of this season, should we say? What one hell of a player you're going to be getting there. But I think with him, I think Desiree and Salabio made a big difference to Cass as well in that game against Wakefield. So that's all of a sudden, we've already said plenty of times this season, the backs at Castleford are pretty decent. It was the forwards, the go forward, that was letting them down a little bit. And now all of a sudden they've got two pretty decent forwards and a really, really good forward. So that's going to make a huge boost for them this week. But the positivity from the Huddersfield side, that squad is looking the best I've seen it for a long time. And I think Wolford is a big. The stuff he was doing earlier on in the season was why Huddersfield were quite close, specifically against Hull FC in that game. So to get him back if he plays is huge. And also Greenwood gives them some great go forward. And all of a sudden, those numbers start to becoming less and less in terms of the squad numbers, doesn't it? They're not as high as they were, and it's looking a lot healthier. So it's an intriguing game, this one. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I have to say, Baz has jumped in on what was one of the best lines we've had this season. Mr. Sale, take a bow. Baz says, well, in 2026, your ex-bird is going to be marrying a model. It was a great line. That proper made me chuckle, mate. Right, okay. Not that you need reminding, all right, but it'd be amiss of us not to, right? This is wonderful news. The big man is back. This was his 2023. His 2024 was mad statistically in terms of his injuries, but he was on glide paths to be as good as this. In 2023, he played every game. This is how good Tom Amone is. 27 appearances in 23, 6 tries for a forward, 3 assists, 6 breaks, 63 tackle busts, 719 tackles in D, 95% efficiency from a front row forward. And when you consider the amount of minutes he does, this guy has got an engine like something not right. I mean, it really is. He's playing with a proper R8 engine when other people are playing with a 1.1 eco boost. I mean, he really is class. 7 errors from a front row forward in 27 games. That's just stupid. It's stupid. Walmsley's probably got that already, and we've only played 8 rounds. And he's one of the best forwards we've ever had in the comp. 419 carries, over the most meters made in 2023 was from Tom Amone, including your backs and everybody. Tom Amone, a front row forward. Incredible. No wonder deep down Leigh are gutted. There's no doubt. Understand the politics, gutted. Warrington Wolves fans must be looking, going, why didn't they throw the book at him? This is how good this lad is. How this guy has not made it in the NRL, I will never know. I just will never know, because there's far worse a prop forward in the NRL than this guy. But it's great for our comp that we've got the big fella back. His win percentage at his time at Leigh, 72.4. I mean, and a big reason for that win percentage was his efforts. I mean, that's frightening, Steph. It's frightening.
It is, and it's. I think the biggest stat though you've not included there, and I don't think it's probably available, but the biggest stat for Tom Amone is his minutes played for a prop forward, and at the constant high level, playing stupid minutes, and this is what. I mean, it's great. Super League Raw's brilliant at highlighting other players where a lot of people are focused on their own team. Tigers fans are about to find out they've got one of the best props available at this moment in time, regardless of whether he got in the NRL or not. He will go in and he will rip it up for Castleford. And I think what it will also do is it'll highlight the difference between the current forwards and someone who's, could walk into any Super League side.
Well, I've upset Carla and I've upset Carrie. I do apologise. Wipe your tears away, girls. Wipe your tears away. Yes, I will be crying as well. Not as much as the people who've got to play him. But look, the bottom line is this guy is a superstar. I, for one, as a neutral, as somebody who loves our comp, this is a player that elevates our comp. That's what he does. We're going to see some wonderful, wonderful front row play. Really looking forward to it. And then, of course, on the other side, I mean, and this is the madness of Huddersfield. We talked about their unlucky nature in terms of injuries this season. Let's not forget let's not forget Alex Shaw. I don't know what he said about Brad Singleton, but dearie me, you know, we're comparing apples with oranges. In fact, dare I say it, apples are quite big. Let's compare them with a grape. I mean, there's just no, I'm not having it. No, we're not even going there. But going back to Huddersfield. So Huddersfield Giants, they've had bad luck with injuries. But we also know they're probably paying Tom Burgess as much as KR are going to pay this man. And this is Tom Burgess this season. 7 appearances, 1 try, 1 break, 9 busts, 165 tackles, 87% efficiency. He's made 3 errors in 7 games. We just saw Tom Amon's statistics.
Yeah.
76 carries, 443 metres, 5.83 a carry. If you were to put those two side by side, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Now, we know Burgess is class. Father Ty, he's a different unit. He's a different size.
Different type of prop. Completely different type of prop.
Completely different. But the reason I'm highlighting this is, look, Tom can only do what Tom can do. And I thought he had his best game of the season thus far in the Giants shirt last week.
Yeah.
But Tom Amon is different gravy. And you've said this many, many a time. And it says there, good use of cap. I don't get why Huddersfield went so big for Tom Burgess when they probably could have got 2 players for the price of 1 that they probably needed.
Yeah, I think what it's often, if it works out for you, it's brilliant, obviously. But I think the biggest mistake what Super League clubs make is they seem to be fearful of going into the Queensland Cup and New South Wales Cup, and looking at players not on what they're currently doing, but on what their potential is. And you know, my club have obviously done that a few times now with like Kai O'Donnell as well, players like that. Ethan O'Neill, another great example. So these players are out there where you're not having to pay the stupid money what Huddersfield will be paying for Tom Burgess. And you're getting far better value, and it's worth potentially missing, for me, you know, having a few players that maybe don't make it, but if you can get 2 or 3 that do, it makes such a difference to your squad and your salary cap. I'm not a fan of bringing in, I mean, JWH is another example. I know he's only going to do a year at OKR, and the OKR fans love him. I know they do. But the money that they've spent on him, I think, would have been better served going straight for a Tom Amon, for example.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is there. All the stats. Let's go back to the very beginning. It's a very good place to start if you're a Cowbell Army fan. Every stat, every conceivable stat says you're winning this game. And then you consider the team sheets. But, hey, we wish the Cowbell Army nothing but the best of luck. And I, for one, will be tuning in for the second coming of Big Tom Amon. Really looking forward to seeing him on the field of play. And Carrie saying that he's on too much dollar. If he was playing for the Catalan Dragons, I'd go Ola more. But anyway, that's one for the 80s crowd in the chat, I'm sure. Right, let's move on to Perpignan. Let's go to the Catalan Dragons taking on the... Oh, by the way, Ron Mills, 100 career appearance potentially on the horizon for the Castleford Tigers this weekend. Right, Catalan Dragons taking on Wakey Trinity. What a great game this one is. Now, Catalans have won their last 13 against Wakefield. Trinity's last win against the Dragons, 22-12 at home, February 2019. Catalans have also won their last 7 home games against Wakefield. And the last time Wakey won at the Stade Brutes was a 16-14 tight affair on the 24th of February 2018. Ouch. But this is a different Wakefield Trinity. Let's be honest, it's far more competitive, Wakefield Trinity. That is just merely history. Wakefield have had the most errors in Super League this year in 91. Catalans are third with 82. Second phase, though, could be very important in this game. Catalans have had the most offloads this year, 106. They're successful offloads. So, if they're, again, that's something that Wakefield need to be mindful of. They need to stop the second phase of the Dragons. The Dragons are in brilliant form, going under the radar, really are going under the radar. Let's not forget that one loss was a 1-point loss to St. Helens at home. Yeah. So they're in, like I say, under the radar, going well. Both have scored the same amount of tries, better defence from Wakefield, nothing in it in terms of conversions, nothing in it in terms of penalties. In terms of disciplinary, 3 yellow cards to 1 in Catalans' favour. This potentially, Steph, could be a little diamond in the rough this weekend.
Yeah, it's funny because I think every game we've previewed so far, they've all been ones where we're thinking, oh, anything could happen in this one. You know, there's a chance for, and there's something to say for both sides winning the games. Alex makes a great point in the chat that everyone we've done so far in the last meetings is 5-0. 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. So that we've previewed so far, which is mad, isn't it? But this is a different, you know, we look at the history. I think this is probably the best Wakefield side that Catalans will have faced. I think the squad that Wakefield have got at the moment is great. Obviously boosted by Jowett coming back into the team. I think they look a better team with him in it at fullback, as good as Rourke did, covering for him. On the injury front, it's the halfbacks, isn't it? It's the Truman missing, and is it is Russell?
Yeah, Russell. Yeah, they played Jay Pitts there, didn't they?
Yeah.
I wasn't so sure on that one. I tell you what would be an interesting one. I'm just thinking this off the cuff. I thought Harvey Smith played well as well, backing up Leigh in the last game. Has Josh Rourke got the game to slot in there at 6?
It's a good question. I think he's got it's his kicking game, isn't it? That's the thing. I don't know how good his kicking game is. I've never seen him play 6.
Well, you'd make sure that Lino took the last ball, wouldn't you? You'd make sure that you set up that way for that.
The problem is with that, Dave, it's a bit like the Warrington scenario where Leigh knew that the ball was going to Sneed on the last tackle pretty much every time. So I think that's where I would be tempted not to do that. So they'll probably go again with. Did you say Pitts?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty certain it was Pitts that they put in there, which I think for me took it in. Aiden Simpson saying Jowett's a 6.
Not bad shout, is it?
Not bad shout.
It's a bit like the thingy though, the Wellesby situation, isn't it? That in terms of does it take too much away from Jowett's game by playing him at 6?
But what it does allow you to do is get Rourke on the field as well. Because for me, I don't know about you. I mean, we've seen Cam Smith do it, haven't we? For Leeds, he's deputised in the halves.
Yeah.
I think if your natural position is a pack position, for me, you shouldn't be being dropped back into the halves. I'd rather see somebody coming from the back into the halves than from the forward into the halves, and that's why I'm just saying a bit left field. I know, but you know, I would rather see Rourke maybe because he's got a great running game. We know that.
Yeah,
he's got a good attacking brain, or Jowett, which then allows the other one to come in as well, and maybe it gives him a bit more potency. It's just an idea.
Yeah. No, it's definitely one that they'll be exploring in on their captain's run this week. I'd imagine in terms of where they're going to play people. But even so, they're quite healthy Wakefield, aren't they? In terms of the main ones, apart from at the halfback position. But Lino, I think he's their best half anyway at the moment. I know squad number says otherwise, but I think he's been outstanding this season so far. So it's and the pack at Wakefield's been great as well. And we talked about Pitts. His defensive work has been outstanding. I think he's been superb, especially defensively. And obviously Fallatai as well, who's been a revelation for them, hasn't he, in terms of a signing. So lots of positives in the Wakefield squad for me. And I think that they're more than capable of going and giving Catalan a game. Catalan are going to have to be really on it, and it's a big test for them this week. The last two, is it Saints and Salford? Is that the last two?
Yeah, I mean, obviously got a bit of a bye where Salford were concerned.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt about it. They've got. You look at the balance of that squad. Of course, Tom Johnston or John Stone, going up against his former employers. That's going to be an interesting one as well. They've got the forwards. That had they got a Truman, that for me could have been vital potentially. You know, if they don't win this game, that could be that one player that they were missing that could have got them a win. It's going to be fascinating to see. I think both teams have got good backs. I think it's set up really, really well. take your point on Pitts. I think, Pitts plays 13, him and Partington the tackling machines, absolute tackling machines. I think that, the results say that Catalan are slowly growing. We know they've got incredible front row forwards. They really have. I like Satai coming off the bench. I think, whenever I see Satai starting for Catalan, I think, why? He's far better coming off the bench. Busquets, your starter, great engine, does the job fantastically well. Pangai Jr., superb. Who else have you got? Navarrete is in there as well this week. We know he's a unit. He's very reliable as well. So it's all there for them. Kotrick on the wing, happy days. With Tommy Mack on the other side, plenty of quality. It really is going to be, for me. Before we go on to what I consider to be really key for both teams in this, because I think it'll be a tight game. I really do. But before, where was my brain going? Oh yeah, the French lads. Obviously, no Delatour in the squad this week, but I think he's attributed himself really well. Of course, with Kotrick coming back, Aspiro Boucher, I think he's been very tidy. Again, another French lad come in. It's a great name, that. What a great name. But he's done well. And again, you've got to give those lads a lot of credit, because they're going to be phased out as Catalan's team come back from injury. I think it's only right and a proper that we just give our nod to those two young men who've done Steve proud, haven't
they? They have, yeah. And I think for me, and we're going to be talking, I believe, about fine margins in this game. I think the forwards are going to. I think Catalan have probably got slightly the better pack, and I'm talking very slightly. But we've already talked about him. Wakefield have got the recognised fullback in Max Jowett. There's no Sam Tompkins in this one. They've already lost Morg. And the fullback position is so key, especially not just defensively, but from an attacking shape point of view. And I think that could be the difference between Wakefield and Catalan. I just think Wakefield will be a bit more expansive from an attacking point of view. And it's going to come down to how Catalan shut down that attack and whether they can keep Lino in check as well.
Well, let's go to him. I think that's the key battle. I really do. I think this is the key battle. Kiri against Lino. Lino has been brilliant all season. I think Kiri's growing. And I think last week will have done him a world of good. Just to get 3 assists, just to get himself going. I think that will have really helped him. You look at their kicks, attacking kicks. Sorry, that bottom one should say kicks from general play. My apologies. But you can see how important they are in terms of guiding the teams around the field. The ball is going to end up in their hands. It's not just their assisting and their running and their creativity with ball in hand. It's their ability to manage a game. And I think both of these two players, I think it is going to be tight. So in tight games like this, those kicks to corners, the difference between a 7 tackle set and a 6 tackle set is vitally important in games where there's very little in it. And I think these two's kicking boots in this game could be the difference. Who can manage the field better? Who can pinpoint the kicks, whether that be high bombs at the right time, kicks that end up in the in goal but stay on the in goal, and maybe the odd drop goal forced, etc. These two, for me, hold that in their hands. And again, don't be surprised if one of these come off the pitch as man of the match, because if they do, as I'm suggesting here, do the game management really, really well, they'll probably be in the picture for it.
Yeah, definitely. And then this is probably the most unappreciated part of rugby league in terms of territorial kicking and winning that attritional battle. Yeah. Because it tires players out as well. And this is when the players are getting tired because they're being pinned back. This is when your halfbacks and your creative players come into their own, because those gaps start to appear. We see missed tackles go up. And it's no coincidence that the teams who are at the top of the table have got the best kickers.
Yeah, Tom Wilson in the chat. Give me a call, mate. Give me a call. The number's on the website. Give me a call. I'll help you with that. Right, okie dokie. Let's move on. Great game. I think we've all gone one way or the other on this. I think it's going to be a fascinating game. Well worth tuning into. Is that Saturday? It's Saturday, that one, isn't it? Kicks off at the same time as yours, I think. Am I right?
Yes, same time.
So it kicks off at the same time.
5.
Yeah, so yeah, this is the game. Sorry to say it, unless you're, of course, a Leigh, but this is probably the game to watch, I would say. It's the one I'll be watching without any doubt whatsoever. But let's go over to, this shouldn't take us too long, Salford against the Leopards. Before we move on to this, Tommy Makinson, He is just 2 tries away from Jermaine McGilvray, who's in joint 6th place in the all-time Super League try scorers league. So good luck to Tommy on that one. Chance, opportunity maybe for him. That'll be an interesting one indeed. Right, Salford against the Leopards. Here's a surprising one for you.
Is it surprising as Salford winning the last 5 games against us?
Yeah, it's about as surprising as that. Yeah, it's about as surprising as that. That should be the other way around.
Yeah.
But anyway, mate. Honestly, yeah, mate, I do apologise. There's a lot of numbers.
I'm only like, I think everybody knows that one. What it should.
That one's wrong. That should be the other way around. Anyway, here's a surprising stat though for you: that the Leigh Leopards have done the most tackles in Super League 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a surprising one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you wouldn't have thought that. So that tells you that despite Leigh's position, they're doing it tough. They're having to go through some defence to get these wins. So just want to mention that again. This is, you don't get this on other shows. You don't. We're into the detail here. But they've also got the highest average game per carry of 6.97 per carry. So they are 2 contrasting little stats for you there. But yeah, look, bottom line is, there's a gulf between these 2 sides on and off the field at this moment in time. I don't really want to labour the point. I really don't. Let's just get into the squads, I think, for this. Again, the usual from Salford. They're going to try the best. Of course they are. No David Armstrong. If you're going to lose David Armstrong for a game, not a bad one to lose him for, Steph.
Yeah, that's it. It's not ideal.
No.
Obviously, we think, but we have got Bailey Hodgson, who does a pretty decent job for us covering that position. They may even drop Gaz O'Brien to full back and put in Ben McNamara because he's chomping at the bit at the moment. But more than likely, I think Ben McNamara will come into the 9 role because Edwin Apape is not available. Obviously, suspended in this one as well. Obviously, the big one what everyone's looking forward to is will Joe Ofafangai make his debut, or Joffa, I think is the easiest one to call him from now on.
So how are you pronouncing his surname?
Ofahengai, I think it is.
Ofahengai?
Yeah.
What a guy. Anyway, but Joffa is a lot quicker. But yeah, I mean, again, there's this talk of he probably won't play because he's only just come over, this, that, the other. But that said, if he's come over in good condition, which I'd expect he has, not a bad, just to settle him into the squad, possibly worth a bench spot for me.
Well, I think they may be forced into it with the way Lamb was talking in his pre-match press conference. There is a few niggle injuries as well for Leigh. Obviously, not serious enough where they're not going to make the squad, but potentially one where they could miss out or are going to be last-minute fitness checks. So Leigh's hand may be put behind the back on that one. I wouldn't play him personally. I think he's only landing tomorrow. So less than 24 hours in the country.
But Warrington did with Michaela.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I think there's a possibility it does. My only concern would be with that is if he picked up a silly injury straight away and out for like Sivo, if that happened there and you're just giving you're writing the press reports for him there, aren't you? So unless you absolutely have to, I would bring him in for Magic against Catalan.
Ooh, what a great first game that's going to be on the Saturday. The Super League Raw family will be together in the East Stand. Come and join us. Come and say hello to Super League Raw at Magic Weekend. And what a curry it's going to be. I hope there's a restaurant big enough to fit us all in. Greg Roach has got a right headache on his hands booking a table for that minute. But that is another story. Right, look, I'm not even... Look, this for me... And if I'm wrong, I apologise to you now, Steph. If the unthinkable happens, I apologise, but I just don't see it happening. So what are we going to talk about? So I thought I'd just take a moment in this edition of Captain's Run to pay tribute, like we did with Jack Wellsby in the Warrington one earlier on. And I asked this question, and it's an honest question. Get ready for some pelters, especially from the Robins fans. Is this the best second row outfit in the comp? It's hard to say it's not. This is incredible. Both of these 2 players this season have been quite simply superb. Look at the stats. Both have scored a brace. Tackle bust 18-6, breaks 2-1, carries both doing work, both in and around the 500 meters. But look at the defense. We talked about Leigh doing the most tackles. Two starting row second rowers, both at 96% on the edges. That is just, again, Super League Raw, pulling it out. Brah, brah, brah. That's what I say to that. That's what we're talking about. But there you go. You know, people tuning into this, they don't know this detail. They do now. Frankie Alton, Ethan O'Neill, best second row in the comp thus far this season.
I think they're right up there. A lot of people will probably laugh at that though, Dave. And you know, Leigh are going under the radar. It's 100%. Even the other journalists are picking up on Leigh going under the radar now. I think what's not considered here is both these players have been out injured as well. So you know, and Frankie more than Ethan. So I think Frankie missed 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
So to be up there at 475 meters, I think he's only played 4. You know, so and there's a lot of second rowers in the comp who'd be happy with them after playing 8. So and I think you're right in terms of their defence. When both of these lads are on the field, Leigh's defensive efforts go up massively. So they're hugely important to Leigh, and they're both playing really well. But let's hope they still continue to go under the radar so we don't get anyone sniffing around them.
Well, I know. Well, I said that I know Alton's under contract next year, but Warrington are sniffing around Alton. I know that, which is I'm delighted with that one. I have to say, I think Alton's a cracking player. It's a salary cap sport. We'll have to see what happens. But I would expect that the Carey and the Carlas of this world are a little happier now that we're talking about these type of things. But yeah, look, I mean, that for me was worth noting. I've been basking in these two. I called it in the pre-season friendly with O'Neill. And I've not been shook. I mean, that kid, what a pickup! And Holton.
This is where it comes back to, Dave, where we were saying about the Tom Burgess signing. So this is where quota and cap, you've got to be so smart in a salary capped and quoted sport, because the other thing where Ethan O'Neill's value is, he's not quota. So you know, he's classed as British. So not only have they picked up someone who's probably on, you know, not a lot of money, he's also non-quota and performing right up there with the best second rowers in Super League.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And we always pride ourselves here on Super League Raw in terms of bringing people's attention to players that they don't perhaps keep an eye on every single week. And like I say, these two for me have been so good to watch on both sides of the ball. I mean, you know, there's a comment there in the chat by Tom reference James Batchelor. I rave about James Batchelor. I think James Batchelor at the Robins. I mean, I don't understand why we're talking Robins. Why don't we just praise these two Leigh players and move on? You know, that's what I'd rather do. Nobody's, you know, we can all start throwing names. Junior Insemba's probably the best second rower in the comp. But we're not talking about Junior Insemba. We're talking about Frankie Alton. We're talking about Ethan O'Neill as a partnership. There's no doubt about it. If we put Insemba's and Favell's stats together on the same screen, it wouldn't be as impressive as these two as a partnership. That's the point that we are making. You know, James Batchelor, again, you know, you look at him, he's played 7 times this season. Let's just put this into context. He's had 1 assist and 1 try. He's made 366 metres. He's tackled 220 times. He's missed 14 tackles this season. So, you know, if we're going to come out with a statement like these are no Tom Batchelor, well, they are this season. So let's just move on.
Frankie's only played 4 games.
I know, let's just move on. You know, see, I don't understand why we get tribal. Let's just praise these two lads.
Yeah.
Praise them. Fantastic performances, coming to a town near you soon. And if they go around the pitch at the end, shake them firmly by the hand for the entertainment they give us. Right, let's move on to the final game of the round. It's a beauty. It's Hull FC taking on the Wigan Warriors. Big game, this one. Oh, by the way, Josh Chandler, 1 try away from 28th place in the all-time try scorers list, and he's also going to make his 250th appearance against Salford. Right, we move on to Hull FC taking on the Warriors. As you can see, their history very much in the favour of the Warriors. 51 points, 51 wins to 15. 2 draws between these two in history. 3-2. It is their great. I mean, obviously a loss against KR the last time out for FC, but both come into this 4 from 5 in terms of wins. Tries, top try scorers in the league. Wigan Warriors 45 to 26 for Hull FC. Tackle efficiency, that's disappointing. If you're an Hull FC fan, to be sub 90, we've seen a lot of 90 pluses in this edition of Captain's Run, something they need to really show up on. And one of the areas that they can ill afford is that 46 to 31 penalty count. That, for me, is a killer. There's no doubt about it. They're coming up against the 2 top try scorers in the league in Jai Field and Jake Wardle, 10 for Field, 7 for Wardle. But what we saw in the Challenge Cup is a team that's in progression. It was an absolute hammering 48-4 in round 2 this season when Wigan went to the MKM. That turned around 24-22 in the Challenge Cup. I don't envisage it being a blowout of that proportions. I don't see 44 points between these two this time round. We will see, like we saw in the Hull derby last week, an improved Hull FC. The question is, there, will it be as improved to beat Wigan in Super League? They did it last year.
Yeah, they did, and with a lot worse side as well. You know, it's pretty much the same Wigan team from last season, isn't it? So, and we've already seen what Hull FC were capable of doing when they went to Wigan and won in the Challenge Cup. So, but on the flip side of that, we've also seen already in the league what Wigan did to them. Then you could say Hull FC we're building into the season and they've improved since then, and you couldn't really argue against that. Yeah. I think this is probably going to get pelters, but I think the Challenge Cup result was more about Wigan, what they did in those last 30 minutes, than it was about how well FC played. And FC did play well, and they deserved the win. But I can't see Wigan defending as badly as they did in that 30 minutes in that Challenge Cup game. And that's just looking at it from a completely neutral point of view. And not taking credit away from LFC because they deserve all the credit for that. It was a fabulous win, and for anybody to go there and do that. But we all know how good Wigan are. I think there'll be a lot of tired bodies in that FC team as well, given the KR and how much effort and emotion went into that. I would be amazed if Wigan don't beat them by a couple of scores at least.
Yeah, I think again, it's going to be one of them. I mean, where FC this year, they've surprised us so many times. Could they do it again? I mean, like I say, for me, in terms of FC's journey, there's going to be a bit of niggle. You know, Wigan will want revenge for being knocked out of the Challenge Cup. That'll be a motivation. I don't care what anybody says. They're still probably stinging from that, if we're being honest. But for me, if Hull FC lost by single digits, for me, it's another step in the right direction. You know, you're benchmarking against a champion side. I get people's point that Wigan have got a few front row forwards out. Absolutely. I think Knight is another player that Warrington are sniffing around. I've heard that on good authority. Warrington are looking at Liam Knight. I think he's only on a 12-month contract at FC. So that's interesting. And of course, players can sign now. So, you know, that is interesting. I think what goes in FC's favour with Knight, maybe a bit of loyalty to Cartwright, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But money talks. And I've been impressed with Knight. And we've said that, you know, throughout the season. I think because Big Herman's in the side, he pretty much puts the shadow over the entire team, not only his fellow front row forwards. But Knight has been a massive addition for FC, a massive addition, and he's improving as well, week in, week out. So for me, if they can keep it to a single-digit score, I think yet again, our friends over at Hull FC can be really proud of that. And, you know, it shows that they are competitive, incredibly competitive. Havard is out, Carla. You're spot on. Thompson's still out. What about Dupree? What about Mago? So, yeah, they've got a few problems.
The main thing is, David, this one, though, is Wigan have to turn up. If Wigan don't turn up in this one, then Hull FC are more than capable of burning them. 100%.
100%, mate. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, this is an unfair comparison because the eyes tell you what you need to know. But I think it's a critical one, this, for Hull FC, and it's Will Price. He's coming up against Field. Will the price be right? What I've done here is I've rounded him up. So Field has played, I think it's 7 games this season. So I've rounded him up. He's only played 2 Price. So I've actually done a bit of jiggery pokery in terms of glide path. And actually, he stacks up really well. Yeah. You know, really do. Your eyes tell you something different, but yeah, he is. I mean, you know, he's made a couple, I think, some howling errors that probably just linger in your mind. But he's only made 2, 1 in each game. But you know, and people will say you can't put Price up against Field. Let me tell you now, Will Price will be loving this conversation because he wants to be compared. That he's a confident young lad. He sees himself in the future as being in with the best ones in the comp. So he'll be delighted that we're having this competition. Field, we know, is in great form, pushing for Man of Steel. For Man of Steel, but certainly for the 1. You know, at the moment, for me, Field is right up there. I think there's going to be a big decision to be made who's number 1 in the dream team at the end of the season. Field is right up there. 10 tries this season, playing some superb rugby league. Absolutely outstanding. So we know he's going to have a say in it. But for me, in a game like this, against KR, I think his worst performances thus far have come against KR.
Yeah.
Both. The first one we can forgive. He just got off the plane. Last week, for me, he just I won't say he choked it. He weren't bad, but but you want more from him. In those games, you want more from him. And the fact that they're now playing Wigan the week after, he's got to play well. He has to play well on Sunday because he could be the difference. He's on his day. He's got the game. Well, very dangerous out of backfield. Very dangerous. We've seen glimpses of that already. Yeah. But I just think that, Will Price in this game to complement Caesar and Cust, that spine, if he can have a wow of a game, if he can have his best game yet in an FC shirt, they've got a chance.
Yeah, definitely. And this is what I'm saying about if there's any, I don't think Wigan's attitude will be it's an easy win because obviously how well FC have been playing. But if there is any of that, if Wigan don't get off the bus for whatever reason, FC we know have got the players. And Ashworth is another one who had a brilliant game against KR. But he played really well. But Will Price has got he's got that X factor of being able to change a game, hasn't he? So if he can bring that to this and cause Wigan some trouble, then who knows what can happen. I just think, for me, if both teams are at the best, Wigan still win. I think it's more which Wigan team turns up, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be a pretty strong one.
Well, the team sheets do come out tomorrow. You're quite right, Adam. Of course, they come out 48 hours before kickoff, so they will be tomorrow. Right, we're going to bring, as always, another great edition of Captain's Run to a close with this.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Steph.
Yeah, so this is the anytime try scorer. Back to a threefold rather than a fourfold. I'm not being convinced this week to add stupid bets in a Matt Frawley by Alex Sharp because he scores every time against Huddersfield. So we're back to a threefold on this one. I've had to go for the Leeds, Hooker and the Warrington Saints games because the other ones haven't got available anytime try scorers yet. So in the Leeds KR game, Ollie Gildart, I'm backing him to carry on his good form and starts the season to get over for a try for KR. And obviously Mikey Lewis doing Mikey Lewis things. I see him scoring after not scoring in the FC game. And then I've also picked Matt Duffy. Again, Matt didn't get over in the last game. It's not many games when he'll go back to back without scoring a try. So I expect Matt to pick up a try in the game this evening. So if you go for those three, that'll return you 20-1, basically.
20-1 for Mr. Sale. Bit of value there. I think Mikey's good for a try. Duffy possibly. Yeah, and I've been interested to see what Percival's odds were. I think Percival could be dangerous on that left edge for Saints this evening. That is what Captain's Run is all about. Nobody's done it better. Great analysis, great talking points, things for you to keep your eye on. Of course, we will unpack all of that on Round Unpacked on Monday. That will be only, of course, for members. If you're not a member of Super League Raw, the question has got to be, how on earth and why aren't you? You really do need to get on board. Come and join the community. There's the QR code. Like I say, over 20 plus of us are going for a curry after Magic Weekend. The amount of us that are going to be sat together at Magic, we've got a big army going to the Challenge Cup final, and I'd expect the grand final will be even bigger. So it's got some massive events on the way as well. Please go over, take a look at our website, and on behalf of both myself and Steph from Shaw, go and enjoy what should be a fantastic round of Rugby League football.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye for now.